Alright, today's lesson is chapter 12 and it's called Dimensional Analysis, and our objective is to use dimensional analysis to convert measurements within a system and between systems. Now we have other ways of actually converting measurements that you've probably seen before. However, today we want to use the specific method of dimensional analysis. So you have to use the method that we're going to show you to convert measurements today. Alright, here's number 1. Go ahead and write it down. We have 12 square feet equal blank square inches. So we're wanting to convert 12 square feet. And we want to know how many square inches that's going to be. Alright, so I'm going to write this down. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write 12. And now square feet is different than just feet. Just like x squared is x times x, square feet is feet times feet. So I'm going to write feet, feet here. And the first thing I'm going to do is put it all over 1. I'm going to make it into a rational expression or a fraction. Now I need to go from feet to inches, so we're going to use our measurement conversion sheet that you're given. This measurement conversions will also be on your EOC exam for these type questions. And I need to look, I'm starting with feet, so I'm going to go on my conversion sheet and look for feet. I have feet to inches and I have feet to yards. I'm wanting to go feet and end up with inches, so I need to go feet to inches. So I'm going to use this measurement conversion right here. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down on the right hand side of my paper. So right over here I'm going to write 1 foot equals 12 inches. So I wrote my conversion from my conversion sheet over here in the top right hand corner. So that's what's going to help me here. Now be careful, this isn't 1 square feet equals 12 square inches. This is 1 feet equals 12 inches. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to draw me another fraction, and I have feet on the top, and I'm wanting feet to cancel. So I need to have feet on the bottom, so my feet, this foot cancels with this foot. And so I'm going to have inches on the top because that's my conversion, feet to inches. So I have 1 with the foot and 12 with the inches. So I'm going to write it as 12 inches over 1 foot. So now, my feet here and my feet here are going to cancel. But now I still have this other foot left since it's square feet. So what I'm going to do to get rid of that is I'm going to rewrite this again, 12 inches over 1 foot. That way this foot and this foot cancel, and I'm left with inches times inches, which is inches squared, or square inches, which is exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for square inches. Now that I have what I need as far as my units go, I have inches, inches. It's just a matter of multiplying across the top and multiplying across the bottom. So I'm going to get my calculator. I'm going to say 12 times 12 times 12, and I get 1,728. Now, when I multiply on the bottom, I just have 1 times 1 times 1, which is just 1. And here, inches times inches gives me square inches. So when I say 1,728 divided by 1, I still get 1,728. So in my blank right here, I'm going to write 1,728. So for 12 square feet, that's exactly 1,728 square inches. We're going to look tomorrow in class a little bit about why that is the way it is, why we ended up with the 1,728. Make sure you have all of that written down before we move on. Okay, we're going to go ahead and write down number 2. All right, number 2 says 180 square feet equals blank square yards. So here we're wanting to go from square feet to square yards. Okay. So again, first of all, I'm going to put 180, and square feet is feet, feet. Again, just like x squared is x times x, feet squared is feet times feet, all over 1. Now I'm going to look, I'm wanting to go from feet to yards, so again I'm going to look at my measurement conversion sheet that I have. Now I'm going to look for feet since that's what I'm starting with, and I have feet to inches and feet to yards. And I'm wanting to go feet and end up with yards here. So I'm going to use this one right here because it's 1 yard equals 3 feet. So we're going to write that over here to the right. 1 yard equals 3 feet. Okay, now that I have my measurement conversion, I'm ready to set this up. So I'm going to draw myself another fraction here, and I'm going to look at it. I have yards and feet. I have feet on the top, so I need to make sure that I have feet on the bottom so that they're going to cancel, so that I'll be left with yards or square yards when I'm done. And yards is going to go on the top. So this time 1 yard, so 1 yard equals 3 feet. So 3 goes with the feet. Now this foot and this foot are going to cancel, or those feet are going to cancel. And I'll still have one of these feet left, so I need to get rid of that as well. So again, I'm going to rewrite this again. 1 yard over 3 feet, so that this foot and this foot cancel. And I'm left with yards times yards, which is square yards, which is exactly what I want. So now that I have my units where I want them, I have square yards left. Again, it's just a matter of multiplying across the top, so I'm going to have 180 times 1, which is going to be 180 square yards. And then on the bottom, I'm going to say 1 times 3 times 3, which is going to give me 9. So then my calculator, I'm going to say 180 divided by 9. So once you multiply the top and bottom, then you're going to divide, and you get 20. So we're going to say that this equals 20 square yards. We're going to go back up here to our blank. 180 square feet equal 20 square yards. Please make sure you have all of that written down for number 2 before you move on. Okay, here's number 3. We have 400 meters equal blank miles. Now we don't have the squared thing that we have before, but we're going to have to look at our conversion sheet and figure out how do we get from meters to miles. So again, first of all, I'm going to say the 400 meters over 1, because I always put it over 1 if I don't have a denominator. Then I'm going to look at my measurement conversion sheet that I've got here. Let's move this up a little. Let's look at the measurement conversion sheet, and I need to go meters to miles. So I started with meters, so I'm going to look on my conversion sheet for meters. And when I look, I have meters here. So I have meters and yards. And down here I have meters and feet. I don't have any direct meters to miles here. So I need to also go back and look at miles and see if I can find anything that happens to connect meters and miles. So if I'm looking at for miles, I have miles here, I have miles here. So I have miles and yards, and I have miles and feet. So if I look here, I can go meters to feet, and then go feet to miles, so they're connected by feet. They're also connected by yards. I can go meters to yards and yards to miles. So I have feet that are connecting my meters and miles, and I have yards that are connecting. It does not matter which one you use at this point. You can go and use feet or yards. We're going to go ahead and use yards for this one. So I want to write down those 2 conversions that I need. I need the meters to yards since I'm going through yards. So up here on the right, I'm going to say 1 yard equals 0.9144 meters. And now I need yards to miles, so that I end up with miles. So I'm going to write down that conversion. 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. So you can see I'm going to go meters to yards and yards to miles because I have yards that are connected to meters and miles. Okay, I'm done with my measurement conversion sheet now. Now I need to get this set up. So I'm going to draw another fraction, so times. Now I have meters on the top, so I need to have meters on the bottom so that they're going to cancel. So I'm going to be using this conversion first, the meters to yards. Since I started with meters, I have to start with this one. So I'm going meters to yards, so I have yards on top. I have 1 yard, so 1 yard, and 0.9144 meters. So now my meters are going to cancel because I have one on the top and one on the bottom, not the numbers, just the M's, okay, just the meters part. I'm left with yards. Now my question doesn't ask for yards, it asks for miles, so I'm not finished yet. Now I'm going to come back and use this second conversion. I have yards on the top, so I'm going to need yards on the bottom because I want those yards to cancel because I don't want yards, I want miles. So I have yards on the bottom and I'm going yards to miles, so I'm going to have miles on the top. I have 1 mile and 1,760 yards. So 1 goes with the miles, 1,760 goes with the yards. So now my yards are going to cancel because I have one on the top and one on the bottom. And now I'm left with miles, which is good because that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted miles here. So now that I have my units set up the way that I need them and I'm left with what I wanted, I'm left with the miles that I needed. Now it's just a matter again of multiplying across the top. 400 times 1 is 400. And multiplying across the bottom. I need my calculator for this one. 1 times 0.9144 times 1,760 is going to give me 1,609.344. Now I'm going to keep all those decimal places. Now I'm going to divide, so again multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and divide. So I'm going to say 400 divided by 1,609.344. And I'm going to say that this is approximately, so I am going to round here. Oops, sorry, you can't really see that. So I have 0.248, so I'm going to round that to point. Hold on just a second while we get the lighting. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna round that to 0.25, and that's miles. So 0.25 miles. I'm gonna come back up and fill that in my blank too. So 400 meters is the same thing as 0.25 or a fourth of a mile. Make sure you have all of that written down before you move on. All right, here's number 4. Number 4 says 12 pints equals blank gallons. So we want to go from pints to gallons. So again, just like I've done in all the rest of them, first I'm going to put 12 pints over 1. And then I need to look at my conversion sheet and figure out how do I get from pints to gallons. So if I'm looking at my conversion sheet, I want to start looking with what I'm given to begin with. I'm given pints. So I need to look on my conversion sheet for pints. And I have pints to cups and pints to quarts. And that is all. So I don't have any direct connection between pints and gallons on here. So now we're going to look for gallons. The only place I see gallons is right here. And I have gallons to quarts. Well, we also had a pints to quarts. So I have pints to quarts and then quarts to gallons. So what's connecting my pints to my gallons is quarts. So I'm going to write down both of those conversions. I'm going to write down my pints to quarts and my quarts to gallons on the right hand side of my sheet so I know what I'm using. 1 quart equals 2 pints, and 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. So those are my two conversions that I'm going to be using. All right, so now we need to get it set up. So again, I'm going to say times another fraction. I have pints on the top, so I need pints on the bottom. So I'm going to start with this conversion because it has pints. So I'm going to go pints to quarts. So I need quarts on top. And I have 1 quart. So I'm going to put the 1 with the quarts. 2 pints. So 2 goes with the pints. So now my pints here and my pints here are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with quarts. We didn't want quarts, we wanted gallons. So I'm going to have to keep going. We're going to get rid of the quarts and be left with gallons. So I'm going to use the second conversion and go from quarts to gallons. Let's set up another fraction. I have quarts on the top, so I'm going to have to do quarts on the bottom and gallons on the top. I have 1 gallon, so 1's going to go with the gallons, and I have 4 quarts, so 4 is going to go with the quarts. My quarts are going to cancel because I have 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom, and I'm going to be left with gallons. That's good because I wanted gallons. So I know that I'm able to stop at this point because I have the units that I wanted. I have the gallons. Sorry, I'm going to come down here. So now I'm going to multiply everything across the top and then everything across the bottom. So I'm going to say 12 times 1 is 12. So my numerator is 12. Multiply the bottom or the denominator. 1 times 2 times 4 is 8. That's gallons. All right, so now I'm going to divide that in my calculator. And you can use alpha y equals, or you can just say 12 divided by 8, however you want to do it. Now I get 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is 1.5. So I have 1.5 gallons. So we're going to go back and fill in our blank right here. 12 pints is the same thing as 1.5 gallons. Please make sure you have number 4 written before you move on. All right, the last two that we're going to look at are going to be a little bit different. Here, I have 52.68 feet per hour, and I want to know how many inches per minute that is. So here, I don't just have feet to inches. I also have hours to minutes. So I'm going to set this up in a little bit of a different way. I'm going to say 52.68 feet. And this is feet per hour, so feet over hours. So when I go to set up my fraction, I'm still going to put a 1 on the bottom, but I'm going to put hours on the bottom. That way it's feet per hour. So now, first we're going to look at the feet to inches part, because I've got feet and I want to end up with inches. So I'm going to look back at my conversion sheet for feet to inches. And I actually have a direct conversion here. 1 foot is 12 inches, so that's what I'm going to write up here in the corner. 1 foot equals 12 inches. So that's my conversion that I'm going to be using for my conversion sheet. So here, I'm going to go ahead and set up my fraction. I have feet on the top, so I need feet on the bottom so that they cancel. So I'm going to have inches on top. 1 goes with the feet, and 12 goes with the inches. So then my feet are going to cancel. Now, I have the inches that I want, but right now I have inches per hour. I don't want inches per hour, I want inches per minute. So I have the inches, now I need to get the minutes. So here I have my hour on the bottom, and I want to change that hours to minutes. And you're supposed to kind of know the conversions here. How many minutes are in an hour? there are 60 minutes and 1 hour. So that's going to be the other conversion that I'm going to use here. Now here it's a little bit different. Our hours are on the bottom, and I want the hours to cancel so that we can be left with minutes. So when I go to set up this fraction, my hours are going to be on the top so that they're going to cancel, one on the top, one on the bottom, and my minutes are going to be on the bottom. So I have 60 minutes, so 60 goes with the minutes on the bottom, 1 goes with the hour on the top. My hours are going to cancel, and now I'm left with inches per minute, or inches over minutes, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted inches per minute or inches over minutes. So now that I have the units that I want, again, I'm just going to go through and multiply the top and the bottom and then divide. I need my calculator for this one. We have 52.68 times 12 times 1 on the top gives me 632.16. On the bottom I have 1 times 1 times 60, which is just going to give me 60. And this is inches over minutes. So that I'm just going to divide those. Again, need that calculator. 632.16 divided by 60 minutes gives me 10.536. I'm going to use all of those. And that's going to be inches per minute. Sorry, I was running out of room there. We're going to go back and fill in our blank right here with our answer, which is 10.536. So 52.68 feet per hour is the same thing as 10.536 inches per minute. Please make sure you have all of that work done before you move on. All right, this is our last example. We have 13 inches per 2 minutes, and we want to know how many meters per second that actually is. So we want to go inches to meters and minutes to seconds. So we're going to set this up in our fraction, 13 inches. Now, until now we've always put it over 1, but this tells us 13 inches every 2 minutes. So it's going to be 13 inches over 2 minutes instead of 1 here because we have a denominator. So first thing we want to look at are what are our conversions for getting inches to meters. So I'm going to look on my conversion sheet, and I'm going to go inches, and I'm going to look for inches. I have inches to feet, and I have inches to yards, and I have inches to centimeters. So I've got 3 different things. I've got feet, yards, and centimeters, and I want to get to meters. So now I don't have a direct connection from inches to meters. So I need to find something that connects the two. So down here I have meters to yards and meters to feet, and I had inches to feet and inches to yards. So I could go inches to feet and feet to meters, or I could go inches to yards and yards to meters. Let's go through feet this time. So I need to know inches to feet first, since that's my connection. So I'm going to use this one and go from inches to feet, and then down here I'm going to go feet to meters. I could have went through yards just as easily, so I'm going to write those 2 conversions down up here. 1 feet equals 12 inches, and 1 foot equals 0.3048 meters. Okay, now I also have another conversion that I'm going to have to use. I'm going to have to go minutes to seconds. So again, that's kind of something we already kind of expect you to know the conversion for. There are 60 seconds in a minute. So I'm going to write 60 seconds equals 1 minute. So those are going to be the 3 conversions. This time I'm going to have 3 and not just 2. So you know what, I'm actually going to rewrite this down here. Just that way I have room. This one's going to be a little bit longer. Now, I always like to go from the inches to the meters first and then deal with the time at the end. You can actually do it in any order, but again, that's just the way I like to do it. I have inches on the top, so I know I'm going to need inches on the bottom. So I know I'm going to be using this one first because it goes inches to feet. So I have feet on the top. 1 foot, 12 inches. So now my inches cancel and I'm left with feet per minute. I don't want feet per minute, I want meters per second. So I'm not finished. So I'm going to multiply by another fraction. I will know I want to get rid of those feet, so I put the feet on the bottom, and my conversion is meters or feet to meters. So meters is going to go on the top. I have 1 foot and 0.3048 meters. My feet are going to cancel. And now I'm left with meters per minute. So I'm close. I got my meters, but I don't want meters per minute. I want meters per second. So we need to go minutes to seconds. Again, this one looks a little bit different because my minutes are on the bottom, so I need minutes on the top so that they cancel, and seconds on the bottom. And it's 1 minute and 60 seconds. My minutes on the bottom and my minutes on the top are going to cancel. So let's look at what we have left. We have meters over seconds, or meters per second, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted meters per second. So now that I have the units that I want, this last part's pretty simple. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. So I'm going to say 3 times 1 times 0.3048 times 1. That gets me 0.9144 on the top. Now I'm going to multiply the bottom. 2 times 12 times 60. 1,440. So now I'm going to divide 0.9144 divided by 1,440. Sorry, I messed up here. This was not 3 inches, it was 13. That's where I went wrong right there. Make sure you put 13, so this is going to be different when we multiply. Let's start over just with the multiplying stuff. So I'm going to say 13 times 0.3048, and I get 3. So I get 3.9624 on the top with my meters, and I get 1,440 seconds on the bottom. So now I'm going to divide. And I'm going to say that this is approximately 0.002, and we're going to round that 7 to an 8 and say meters per second. So now I'm going to go back up to my blank up here, and I'm going to put 0.0028. So 13 inches in 2 minutes is the same thing as 0.0028 meters per second. Please make sure that you have all of that written down before you move on. Alright, so now you should be able to use dimensional analysis to convert measurements within a system and between systems. Again, when you go to do your assignment tomorrow, you will have to use dimensional analysis, even if you have a different way to convert. We do want you using this specific method. Your homework for tomorrow is a worksheet. So this is the end of your video. Thank you for watching.